Kicks was originally an arcade title developed by Taito and released in 1981. Over the next decade, it would be released on most home computers and console systems of the era. Today, I'll be looking at the Game Boy version of the game, and thanks to the magic of the Super Game Boy, I've changed the color palette to more closely match that of the arcade original. Kicks is a wonderfully simple concept that could have only come from an early 80s arcade game. Your goal is simply to draw lines to claim a majority of the playfield. Once completing a shape, that area of the playfield turns a solid color, and the kicks can no longer occupy that space, and you're one step closer to clearing the stage. The challenges come from the kicks itself, a random series of lines that wanders through the playfield like a 90s screensaver. If the kicks touches the line you have yet to complete, you instantly lose a life. The kicks move somewhat unpredictably, which adds to the challenge. Sometimes it moves quite slow, and other times it seems to make a mad dash straight towards you. As you claim more and more of the playfield, it becomes much more difficult to draw lines as there's little empty space that isn't occupied by the kicks, which increases your odds of getting hit. Over time, you'll develop elaborate schemes to try and claim the playfield while minimizing the risk, and that is where the addictiveness of kicks comes from. It's easy to learn, but difficult to master. You'll laboriously draw tiny little rectangles to box in our lined enemy, only to have the whole plan foiled by one minor misstep. Since this is an arcade title, you are playing for points. For those of you too young to remember, there was a point in time where the difficulty of most games exceeded the skill of the majority of players, and the ultimate goal was not to beat the game, but to set a high score. This high score would prove you were the better gamer amongst your friends. They would then attempt to outscore you, and the process would repeat itself until another game would capture everyone's interest. For the lucky few, this high score would eventually get them their own feature-length documentary film and launch them into star-like status among the retro gaming community. Amazing, isn't it? In Kicks, you have two options of movement, slow and fast. If you complete a box while moving slow, the box will fill with an alternate color and you will score more points than if you were moving fast. But you can't afford to take your time, as enemies called sparks will follow your line, and if they touch you, it's curtains. The challenge then lies in strategically and methodically decreasing the size of the playfield until you are able to claim a large portion of the playfield at once with a small, short line. The difficulty ramps up quickly as the game requires you to claim a higher percent of the playfield as the levels progress, and the sparks get more and more aggressive. I honestly have no complaints about the Game Boy version of Kicks. The graphics do a great job of recreating the original arcade experience. The controls are responsive, the sound is a bit lacking, but is executed in a way that adds tension and a sense of urgency that fits Kicks perfectly. Kicks is immensely satisfying, and the Game Boy version is among the easiest ways to play the arcade original. It has an undeniably 80s feel, and the gameplay holds up quite well 32 years later. It offers that easy-to-learn, hard-to-master quality that is lacking in games of this generation. If you are even remotely into Twitch-style arcade games, you owe it to yourself to track down a copy. Highly recommended.